What makes for a great series finale? Beginnings are easy, but endings are hard. I think a great finale gives us closure, a surprise, and leaves us wanting just a little more. Closure, surprise, and leaves us wanting just a little bit more. One of my superpowers is I know when to leave a party. You will not catch me at a party staying too long. You won't catch me at a party when someone gets too drunk and trips over a table and gets a concussion. I will be long gone before that happens. One of my superpowers is I know when to say, so long for now. Closure. MASH, February 1983, the finale of the 4077th. Goodbye, farewell, amen. February 1983, 105 million Americans tuned in that night. If you were watching TV that night, you were watching MASH. 77% of those watching TV that night were tuned in for the MASH finale. Goodbye, farewell, amen. And the other 23 were just being jerks about it. Oh, man. Still the highest regular televised broadcast of any non-sporting event in history. Probably will never be surpassed since we watch TV so differently than we once did. Great closure in that episode. All the different characters, if not forever and ever, over and amen, that chapter of their lives concluded. Very satisfying. You remember, of course, that iconic image. BJ Honeycutt is taken off on his motorcycle, and he says, I left a note for you, to his best buddy Hawkeye. Hawkeye's being airlifted away in a chopper, and he looks down, and Honeycutt had written in stones the word goodbye. It's still still touches me. Closure. Cheers, May 1993, final episode, One for the Road. Remember this one? Diane comes back after 6 years away. She's been in California, and they think they may have made a mistake. Diane and Sam set to reconcile. She say, hey, come join me out in California. Sammy's about to leave it all behind, leave behind the bar, leave behind the gang at Cheers. And then he has a change of heart. Says goodbye to Diane. Norm says, I always knew that you would return to your one true love. Last scene is from outside of the bar as a silhouette looking in, and you see Sam through the glass saying, sorry, we're closed. Sam turns out the lights, walks towards the back, towards the office, towards the storeroom. If you remember, on the wall there's a picture of Geronimo. It's a final salute to beloved coach Nicholas Colasanto, who used to have that framed picture of Geronimo, which also makes it into the opening credits after his untimely passing. I believe coach died in the 3rd season. Leave me a comment if I'm wrong about that, but that sounds about right. Final hat tip to coach, goes into the back. And as Norm said, Sam returns and he remains with his one true love. Closure. What about surprise? Well, I got to go for Newhart, man. Newhart has a surprise of surprise. He takes a golf ball in the head. Remember, he's sort of like a book editor, a book author, and they own an B&B, I think in Vermont or New Hampshire. Kind of quirky characters. There's Larry and his brother Daryl and his other brother Daryl. So Newhart takes a golf ball on the head in the series finale. He wakes up. Newhart is now back in the Bob Newhart show. It's brilliant. Newhart ran from 82 to 90. Prior to that, in the 70s, ending in 1978. Bob Newhart, of course, starred in the Bob Newhart show. Surprise, in the finale, it's all been a dream. And what makes it amazing is he wakes up in bed and he's next to his wife in the original Bob Newhart show, Suzanne Plachette. The whole thing has been a dream. What makes it utterly amazing and next to impossible to imagine it could ever happen again is nobody knew. The cast, the crew, nobody knew. It was a massive surprise. How are we going to end this beloved show with an incredible twist? So well done. Closure, surprise, and leave wanting a little more. I really do love that Irish proverb. Leave the table when you're a little hungry. Get out of bed when you're still a little sleepy. And leave the bar when you're still a little thirsty. Welcome to the Rated Rabbi Sports Card Podcast, where sports cards and pop culture meet. The 1984 All-Star Game. I am your host, Rabbi David Spinrad. Welcome to the series finale, episode 84, Dear Dave. I thought about how I wanted to end this one for a good while. For a while, I was considering pseudocide. I was considering faking my own death and just disappearing. I was working on the idea. I was working on a script. I was going to ask my daughter to come and read it, pretend that I died in some kind of accident, a little bit mysterious, a little bit. She was like, "You were sick. I have nothing to do with this. I can't believe you're my father." It was one of those guys. But oh my God, to fake your own death and just vanish. Problem is, when y'all found me, like, dude, what's up with that? It's just like, it's not cool. It's just weird. Sort of more of my daughter's camp, and I get it. So I decided to drift away from the fake death pseudocide idea. But a few months ago, I really started to realize I was feeling satisfied. You know, I would prefer a little more quiet to noise, a little more silence to talk. I started to look ahead. The only person I really told was my wife. My attitude was that I did it. I had this incredible experience. I did it. Will I come back? Will there be another season? Well, I have an idea, and if I do it and when I do it, actually it would be totally different. Something completely different. Wouldn't be another year. It wouldn't be like that. I think this was a one of one. A very satisfying one of one. What's it been for me? It's, it began, I was working on the Master Set. I want to bring it up here again. I think I've talked about it. Many of you know about it. This is an image in my basement. It's an 80 card PSA-graded Master Set of the 1984 All-Star Game. I'll break it down one more time in a second. But I like to think about collecting being a part of something and being apart from that very same thing. And when I got back into the hobby, I looked around, I started learning, and I really discovered what I wanted was just to be the only. I was never going to be the biggest. I was never going to be the best. All those accolades, it's just not even that interesting to me. Not only impossible, not something I really had to have to feel satisfied. I wanted a collection that reflected me and my life experience. And this 1984 All-Star Game absolutely was one of the great, most indelible moments of my life. The game featured 20 future Hall of Famers among the 60 players on the NL and AL rosters. There were 3 coaches, future Hall of Famers: Sparky Anderson, Tony La Russa, and of course Tommy Lasorda. 3 of the 10 on the benches made the Hall of Fame, putting us at 23. Barry Larkin was a U.S. Olympian. They were on the field making the rings. 1984 Summer Games. Baseball set to be a demonstration sport later that month down in L.A. That gives us 24 Hall of Famers. Of course, I had to have cards of the guys who were the honorary captains: Hank Greenberg, Willie McCovey, giving us 26 Hall of Famers. Stu Miller, not a Hall of Famer, but he and Carl Hubbell threw out the first pitches. There's another Hall of Famer. Gives us 26 Hall of Famers, plus the broadcasters, Howard and Al, definitely are Hall of Famers. And of course, in the MLB Baseball Hall of Fame is Jim Palmer, is Don Drysdale, is Earl Weaver. All were in the booth that day. What does that give us? 31 Hall of Famers that day on the field. Just an epic moment. And I'm 13 years old, and these guys are larger than life. All those Hall of Famers, plus Dwight Gooden, plus Dale Murphy, plus Fernando Valenzuela. This is when, to me, like, giants roamed the earth. George Brett, Mike Schmidt, Reggie Jackson. Oh my God. Such good memories. Rod Carew, Tony Gwynn, Ryan Sandberg. So much goodness. This is like this is still an age of innocence for me, right? I'm just baseball and baseball players. I'm still young. I'm 13 years old. I'm not skeptical. I'm not cynical. And it was just amazing to be there that day. And here's a picture of my ticket stub. I'm actually going to hold it up to the camera. This is my actual ticket stub. It was up there on the master set. There I sat in section 55, row 21, seat 10, just taking it in the epicenter of baseball, epicenter of my life, 1984 All-Star Game. So I got the idea of this master set, created it from my own imagination. And as I was doing the research, I ended up watching the broadcast, the ABC broadcast, ABC LA affiliate broadcast from that very same night, July 10th, 1984. And for me, this incredible portal opened up, a portal into my childhood, to nostalgia, to a different place and time. I just became sort of jettisoned, transported into the past, baseball time machine. And so at the same time, I've been listening to a lot of hobby content, some better than others, few actually better than others. And I much respect, this is a hard thing to do. It takes a lot of time, but I really found a lot of it to be redundant and the same and identical and a photocopy of a copycat. And it was hard to keep my attention and enthusiasm. That's why even right now I tend to gravitate to the ones who are kind of doing the hobby stuff, but on a really sophisticated, thoughtful level, or the niche guys, the guys who are into the history, and the guys who just do like these really cool, quirky dives on YouTube. Like me, they do not have a lot of subscribers. I certainly hope that, like me, they really didn't do any of it for a lot of subscribers, because that's actually not what this has ever been about at all. We'll come back to that in a second. I dived into this time machine and brought me back to 1984. It turns out it is an extraordinary year, not just in sports. Tigers win the series, Niners win the Super Bowl, not just in sports, but also in the Olympic sports. 84 games in LA, like I mentioned, Mary Lou Retton, Carl Lewis. Basketball wins the gold with Jordan. Baseball is a demo sport. 1984 Summer Games. Television, on the show, we had features on Magnum PI. We did a feature on the A-Team. We did a feature, one of my favorites, The Fall Guy. Great time in movies. We talked about a lot of movies, things like Beverly Hills Cop, Best Defense, Footloose, Karate Kid. But my favorite memories from this show is when we did a dive into the teenage sex comedy genre, the non-alcoholic beer of porn, and a staple of young Dave Spinrad's viewing habits. Oh my God. Come on. Revenge of the Nerds. Zapped. I know there's somebody out here who loves Zapped. I love the teenage sex comedy. Hot Dog, the movie. You know, you watched it. What else? Music. What a great year. MTV, like peak MTV. Prince owns 1984 with Purple Rain. Huey Lewis does spend a a week top of the charts. Of course, Huey sings the national anthem. Of course, Huey was my first concert. Of course, that was also the first night I was ever horribly overserved and failed to impress my teenage crush, my buddy Doug's sister, Debbie Schultz. 1984 was also a presidential election. Big year, 1984. Along the way, I got the idea to bring on an occasional guest, and we did special episodes, 5 special episodes of Season Team Boombox and Screen. Actually, a ton of fun. The first episode I had on my brother, Dr. Shark. We reminisced about the 1988 49ers, Domino's Pizza, and the Noid. Then came Matthew, 1956 Top Guy, 1989 Cubs, and Batman the movie. Oh my God, an amazing collector and an even better human being. Such a good guy. Third one was the Rasal. Rabbi Seth Limmer came on, talked about, I'm trying to block out the memory, the Rashomon experience, 1986 New York Football Giants. Nothing like an LT anecdote to put a smile on your face. God, that defense was insane. And of course, we did Beastie Boys' License to Ill. After him, who else? Iowa Dave Schwartz joined me on the show. We broke down 1985 St. Louis Cardinals. That oh my God, that amazing World Series. Don Jenkinger, Kansas City Royals. Ay, ay, ay. Had a little fun with Michael J. Fox, who really was killing it in 1985. Back to the Future, Teen Wolf, and of course, the staple Family Ties. Our final guest was my dear beloved Adam K., my oldest, bestest buddy and OG card collecting friend. We did 1982 Brewers, which is so Adam. There's no connection to the Brewers, but I'm going to do 82 Brewers. It gave us a chance to look at Harvey Keene's wooden leg hanging in a bar in West Milwaukee. I appreciate that. Somehow Adam went from 82 Brewers to 81 A's. I guess he didn't read the instructions. I don't care. I love Adam. During it, we worked on a trade. We did finally pull a trade at the end of the episode after he and I did a little David Letterman reminiscing. It was great. It was super fun. Great to have all those people on the pod, and super neat along the way to get to be a guest on several YouTube shows and podcasts. Get to be with John Newman, Sports Card Nation. What a good guy. Get to be with Danny Black. Hobby News Daily had me on the show. And then finally being on Sports Cards Live with Jeremy Lee. And that was really a lot of fun. All 3 really good guys. Really an honor to be on each of those episodes. But most of all, what was super, super cool was getting to know you a little bit. Whether you were a viewer or a listener, when you drop a comment, it's super, super trippy and so cool. So, of course, my dad and my brother, the Sharks, Tanel and Marky, Matthew, 56 Top Guy, Iowa Dave Schwartz, but also the Rasal Rabbi Seth Limmer, Adam K, West Coast Jewish Chris, Kenny V, Steve, Todd Van Poppel Collector, TJ Mac Vintage, Terry, Dr. Larry, Mike Petty, Double D Dylan, the inimitable Mookie Chilson. Who else? Lincoln Thomas, Gordon, Todd Caponetto. Just amazing. I would never meet you otherwise. We're messaging. My condolences, and may your beloved Doug Archie's memory be ever for a blessing. Super, super cool. But I have to tell you, I actually never did it for an audience. I never did any of the things. People are like, you should put your face in the thumbnail. You get more subscribers. I'm like, you should remind people to like and subscribe. And I would try and I'd forget. My daughter, I'm like, dude, tell them, It's amazing. I think I checked it. I think I have 165 subscribers on my YouTube. I don't know how many podcasts. I don't even I'm gonna go look now that it's done. It's not that many. But the God's honest truth, I actually always did it for myself. Like I was saying, I love sports cards, and I was listening to so much hobby content, and most of it is like, not everybody who has a microphone should have a microphone, right? Including me. Often. I'm okay with that. But I really did this because I wanted to entertain myself. I wanted to do something that nobody else would do or could do, something that was unique and always deeply personal to me. And I started watching that broadcast, as I mentioned before, and I'm like, you started collecting the master set, as I mentioned before, and I said, maybe I'll turn this into a show. I've been watching podcasts. I watched the ABC broadcast, July 1900 and 1900. You're stuck in the 80s. 2022, I started doing research. Did my first episode in February of 2023. And like I said, I feel like I did it. Most of all, I did to entertain myself. My wife would catch me walking around, like in the sink, doing dishes, listening to my own podcast. Like, are you listening to your own show? Yeah, I am. Don't you think that's narcissistic? And I said, well, no, actually, it's very entertaining. It's what I would make. I made it. And I listen to it. Oh man! But so it blows me away that someone I actually just did for goofs, for fun, has people watching it. Oh, so thank you. It's such a trippy thing. Kind of a hard to define show. Is it a show about sports? Is it a show about nostalgia? Is it a show about pop culture? Is it a show about cards? Is it a show about collecting cards? Is it a show about a spiritual path to collecting cards? That's kind of a hard to categorize show. It was a little bit of all that at times. I think, yes. Yeah. It was a ton of fun. Anytime I started to feel like it was work, as a hobby, friends, I would never let this be work. I'd back off. Right? This should not stress me out. Along the ways, we shared a few Debra Winger days, didn't we? You remember Debra Winger? Let's bring it up here one more time. Officer and a Gentleman. You remember this. End of the movie. Richard Gere and his navy whites come strutting in. Mayo, give me your DOR. Right? Come strutting in to the factory. There's Paula working the line. Comes in, walking. Comes up behind her, gives a little kiss. She turns around. She smiles. The song writes, love lifts us up where we belong. Right? Sweeps her up in his arms, walking through the whole factory, like stops working. They're applauding. Her friend goes, way to go, Paula! Right? Like, that's a Debra Winger mail day. When you go to your mailbox and that's what you feel like. When you feel like Debra Winger at the end of Officer and a Gentleman, and that card in your hand is Richard Gere in his navy whites. Can't happen that often because you can't feel it like that, right? It's actually can only happen occasionally. Now, I've had some great Debra Winger mail days, more than I think is my fair share, but I want to end with one more Debra Winger mail day. Last week, I told you that I had a bookend experience that I picked up 1954 Topps gorgeous Hank Aaron PSA-3 from Ash, my first hour in Cleveland. I cruised around. I have so much fun just treading lightly around the National. Saturday night had come to us. Adam, Kay, the lovely Barb, and I were out waiting for a table outside of a restaurant. And I'm on my phone scrolling. You know the feeling. Let's see my save searches. Oh my God. A card came up. And I've been waiting for this for a long time. It's our best offer. I sent him an offer. 75-80% of his asking price. He rejected it. What do you need? And he said, "I have another better offer." Back and forth. Finally, I'm like, you know what? I am just gonna buy this card because I had this 8-hour ride going home, and I do not want to spend 8 hours going. How long was I waiting for this card to come up? A year? Longer? This card never, ever comes up. I pulled the trigger. Adam K said, "Thank you very much. What's the matter with you? Really? You gonna let your heart break over $50? Get the card, dude." Oh, he was so right. Went to eBay for authentication. I paid full price on a best offer, and it felt right. It arrived in the mail 4 days ago. I've been practicing a little bit of card tantra, enjoying the anticipation, right? Slow, slow, slow. Heinz 57 coming out of that bottle. Because I want to share it with you on this one last Debra Winger mail day. Last Saturday, the San Francisco Giants celebrated the 10th anniversary since the 2014 World Series. What a great team. Interesting. Each of the three winners, 10, 12, and 14, had a different ace. 10 was Tim Lincecum, 2012, Matt Cain, 2014, it was Madison Bumgarner. Remember him in the World Series? Pitches game one, 7 innings, 1 run. Comes back games 5 against the Royals. Complete game shutout. 16 innings in the World Series. Only 1 run allowed. Next day, Giants lose 10-0. Coming to game number 7. Everything on the line. Everybody's got to be available. Madison Bumgarner out of the pen. Comes in and pitches 5 innings of shutout ball. 21 runs in the World Series. Only a single home run, a solo home run allowed in the 7th inning of game 1. Madison Bumgarner, your World Series MVP. He is your cover boy for Sports Illustrated when the Giants win the World Series. Love, lift us up where we belong. Let's open this bad boy up. Last week, they celebrated the 10th anniversary of the 2014 World Series. As I mentioned, Bumgarner made his first public appearance since April of 2023 when he was released unceremoniously by the Arizona Diamondbacks. First public appearance in over a year. He's there. He's the last guy announced. He throws out the first pitch to battery mate Buster Posey. And I am excited to share this special card with you. I just opened the box. I just took it out of the eBay plastic baggie, broke the seal, and I am very proud and I am very excited to show this card to you. This is a 2015 Topps Opening Day Madison Bumgarner Super Short Print World Series Trophy Variation. There he is at the parade, orange poncho, remember his little drizzly that day, holding above his head the 2014 World Series trophy. Your World Series MVP, one of the great moments in Giants history, a World Series hero. This is a PSA Pop 2. It's not a card that I see very often because when a Giants fan gets it into his or her collection, it stays for a while. And this is one that is in my forever PC. This is the Madison Bumgarner card to represent my collection 2015. Take a look one more time. Topps Opening Day Madison Bumgarner World Series Trophy Variation, a short print. Nice, very nice. Tell me this isn't a little bit like Richard Gere sweeping me up my... It feels so special. Way to go, Dave! Oh, man. It's a simple pleasures. I have one more card. Actually, I have 2 more cards, but one is real significant that I want to show it to you now. I'm going to bring it up on the stage here. This is a 1984 Global Sports Dave Spinrad rookie card. There I am, one knee, aluminum bat in my right hand, looking off in the middle distance. The San Marin High School football field is the background. Houses on San Marin Drive behind that. That's me. That's 13-year-old Dave Spinrad. Don Shank Insurance, played outfield and first base. That's my rookie card. I have it here to show to you. And I got back into collecting. I was looking through my stuff and I found this card. And it seems to be more than just a coincidence. It seems, as it's all played out, perhaps to be something that was meant to be, that I get to do this finale with you and show you this card. The back of the card says Dave Spinrad, age 13, 5'8", 165, bats switch. I mean, I could swing a bat left-handed, but I couldn't hit very well. I mean, I had power, but it was hard to make contact. I was a much better hitter from the right side. There's an uncorrected error on the back. It says I throw righty. Of course, I throw lefty. Me and Rickey Henderson bats right, throws left. Positions left field, right field, and first base. My team, Don Shank Insurance. Babe Ruth League. My school, Sinaloa Junior High. Favorite pro, Jack Clark. Favorite team, the SF Giants. Oh, there it is, man. My Global Sports rookie card. That's a PC card forever for me. 40 years ago. That had to be spring 1984. And so I was wondering what it might be like to have to speak to myself at age 13. And I started wondering what I would say. And so I wrote myself a letter. Dear Dave, I'm writing to you from 2024, 40 years into the future. I'm not going to tell you what lies ahead. That wouldn't be fair. But I know you, and this is what I want you, would want me to know. First, Dave, life is serious, but don't take yourself too seriously. This whole thing is really just a ride. We're all just passing through. You're going to have wins and losses, highs and lows. You'll stand on mountaintops and you'll walk through deep valleys. Most of the days, you're actually just going to live somewhere in between. And the key is to celebrate when you can, but not too much. Mourn when you must, but not for too long. Wisdom lies on the middle path. Second, believe in yourself, Dave. Bet on you. Seek counsel from people whose wisdom you trust, but listen to your own inner voice. Trust your intuition, instinct, gut. It'll never steer you wrong. Third, when a decision feels like hell yes, it's hell yes. And if not, it's hell no. But sometimes it's neither hell yes nor hell no. And those decisions, when it's unclear, they may be the biggest ones in your entire life. And so when it's not hell yes or hell no, do your best to choose from a stance with your feet firmly on that middle path. Listen to your own inner voice. Trust it. Make the very best possible decision you can make with the information you have. Line up with it completely. And don't look back. One last thing. you might want to keep collecting cards. It's a hobby you can do in your leisure time for pleasure. And it kind of can be a spiritual practice. It's a way to get to know yourself and others better. Love you in 2024. Me, Dave. Bottom of the ninth, 2 out. Goose Gossage on the hill for the National League, looking to close it out. Winfield aboard at second, line to double to left, just out of the outstretched dive of Timmy Raines. Up steps Rickey Henderson. Gossage pours in a fastball for a called first strike. Rickey swings at Gossage's second offering and fouls it straight back, cracking his bat in the process. Howard opines one last time, wouldn't you like Kingman up at this point? Kingman, of course, Dave Kingman, not named to the 1984 American League All-Star team, even though he was leading the major leagues in home runs. 0-2, Rickey steps back in. Gossage freezes Rickey with a sick curveball. Called third strike, ball game over. National League wins by a final score of 3-1. Charlie Lee gets the win. Steve takes the loss. Save goes to Gossage. Home runs by George Brett, Gary Carter, and Dale Murphy. As the announcers are saying farewell, on the PA announcer comes the unforgettable, beautiful voice of Tony Bennett, shown here on a 1991 Hollywood Starline card. And as was the custom forever out at Candlestick, win, lose, or draw, as we began to file out from the stadium, Tony Bennett sang, I left my heart in San Francisco. Thank you so very much for coming along with me on this fun ride. Our paths will cross again, either on YouTube, podcast, or maybe best of all in real life. Love the ones who are around you. Tell them you love them. Show them you love them while you still can. Until we meet again, may you ever be blessed, and may you enjoy health and long life. So long for now.